We're at his first time on Muskegon Lake?
First time on Muskegon Lake. Got most of all my information from Michigan Lunker Hunters. And
Okay.
guys who were kind enough to send me out the information. Got a great tape from a guy called Chase, somebody.
Well,
what I found intriguing about the lake through the additional research I did, calling the DNR, calling some of the fish stores around, and talking to some of the people in our own club out in Illinois who's fished Muskegon, is that Muskegon's really a phenomenal little lake. It's like a little gem sitting here.
mm-hmm.
It has good populations of walleye, largemouth, smallmouth, northern, and the occasional muskie.
Yeah.
It just intrigues me. I mean, you're not going to catch a ton of muskies in here.
No.
But the ones you are going to be big. That's
So
my
you think
understanding.
the population, they said the population was pretty high on...
They said that there's a remnant of some early stockings of muskies.
Of muskie, yeah.
Purebreds, not generally
Yeah.
hybrid muskies.
The hybrids.
But
walleye, it's really well noted for walleye,
well, it's
isn't it?
noted for walleye, and then when you start talking to the State Department, they pull all of their eggs for the entire stocking of Michigan. They raise all their fry, and they catch all the eggs right here in Muskegon.
Muskegon Lake.
They don't have to go to any other lake to do that. That's phenomenal in itself. In order to have a self-sustaining walleye population, they've got to have an excess of 3 walleyes per acre. The DNR biologist, fish biologist I talked to in Michigan said that they continually get huge walleyes out of here that are over 10 pounds and 12.
Okay.
Now we know that Michigan also raised their big fish, walleye fish, from 8 pounds to 9 pounds to 10 pounds, and currently it's at 11 pounds.
11 for Master Angler Award?
For Master Angler Awards in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
Now, I had heard about Mark Martin. As a matter of fact, we had him out at the Walleye Club. And I had lined him up 2 years ago to talk at the club. And I had a very nice telephone conversation with him. And he had explained to me that his fish catching alone, his guided trips out here, was what had forced the state of Michigan, because of the amount of paperwork, to start raising the level. And they went to 9 pounds and figured, well, that'll put a stop to Mark Martin's fish entries, and they had to go to 10 pounds. And now currently they've gone to 11, which they finally did put a damper on.
They finally cut them down.
I mean, that's really saying something.
Yeah, that's good.
Basically a 4,100 acre surface acre lake. Now you start looking at the maps that are available of it, and you start seeing 70-foot depths of water. Now we know that as Spoonpluggers that deep water is the home of the fish. And with that amount of deep water, 70 feet, you can expect to see some very large fish. Fish that probably don't ever get shallow enough for the average fisherman to catch all year round.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads me into my final little point. To me, the information that I gathered and some of the information, not everybody is going downstairs to fish for these fish. And that means that there can be some phenomenal schools down here. There are certain times of the year that the night fishery becomes red hot, as it does with Manistee and the other lakes.
Yeah.
Lake Michigan. But Muskegon is it's a sleeper.
It's a good
it's
lake.
a good lake. It's a good fishing lake. So there's some walleyes out here that are never seen, probably never seen.
Yeah.
In my estimation, they just aren't coming up shallow for the average fisherman to catch. You add into it 8-pound largemouth bass that have been caught. You're going to catch a lot of 4s and 5s. You add into the fact that just outside of Muskegon and on the Michigan side, they've caught a 7-pound smallmouth bass.
Out in the big lake?
In the big lake. You didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that.
He's from the state of Michigan. He don't know this. I'm 2 states away. I got to film here and tell him that they got a 7-pound smallmouth.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, about from what I ascertained about 700 yards north of the
North Pier?
the retention walls, the
Yeah,
breakwater
breakwaters.
walls there.
Yeah.
And also that some of the reports said that the breakwater walls are good. And that's one of the reasons I asked to come over to the channel, the ship channel.
Mm-hmm.
It generally is going to be cleaner, I would believe, cleaner break lines, cleaner bottoms, controllable areas. You got a lot of wood out here. We know that the wood lumber business was real good here, and there's
They had
wood
about
piles
300 sawmills on here
at one time.
Yeah.
And of course, that's like Manistee too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot of the lakes that bordered Lake Michigan had the sawmill business because of the geographic area.
Okay.
But so yeah, when I told the guys at the board meeting last night that I'm going over here to Spoonplugger Muskegon, well, they've all been here. You know, they says, yeah, right, you're going to hit them wood piles with spoon plugs? Yeah, okay, I may lose a few.
We already hauled up some today, earlier.
I might pick up some.
Yeah.
But that's part of the game.
Sure.
You can't catch them if you're not fishing
That's right,
where they are. So.
Okay, now this is your first time on Muskegon Lake, right?
Yeah, first time on Muskegon Lake.
How are you going to approach your fishing?
Well, I'm going to, basically, I've already made up my mind about where I want to really fish. I want to check out, number one, the ship canal because of the easier, looks like, trolling ability. But I also wanted to check out that bay that goes just to the north on this side of the...
Quite shallow up there, isn't it?
Well, there's a very good break line that leads up into that old deserted wood farm, or whatever it was.
Okay.
The old docks that are up in there.
In the northwest corner of the lake.
Yeah, northwest corner. And it fishing reports, and you always look at where people have been catching fish, say that they catch largemouth bass and smallmouth up there, and this particular section of the shoreline from the back bay out is known for its northerns. Not big northerns, small northerns. But that's an area that says, when you look at the structure map, the depth map, I see some deep water access. I see 30 feet. Outside of the channel, we got 50 feet. Now, that's not the deepest section of the lake, which I feel a lot of spoon pluggers are probably go over there to the deepest section of the lake, and that's not a bad move. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't like to fish where there's a lot of spoon pluggers.
Okay.
I don't like there's too much motor traffic. There's too much trolling going over. And under marginal weather conditions, we know that boat traffic will keep the fish down. So I want to pick out my own area and go. And if somebody comes over here, one or two boats, that won't bother me. But if I start seeing 10 boats here, I'm going to mosey on down the shoreline. I've already put what I can of Lake Muskegon up here in my brain.
Okay.
The rest of the time, I won't look at a map other than what I see on the water.
You don't draw maps on the lake?
I'll draw maps on the water when I find a feature of the bottom that's different from the surrounding area. You know, I may take this section of the lake and I'll work it until I feel that I found something that's worth mapping. This section of shoreline that I'm in reference to between the bay and the channel, the ship canal.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some fingers on there. I suspect there are. Short fingers, but some fingers. And it's also what you were talking about earlier about at this that other marina in the middle of the lake there, where it leads into Bear Lake. You were talking about an incline break. You know, it drops this way, but it's also dropping this way too. You know,
right.
Breaks are two-dimensional, and it's good. It's a good point. A lot of guys don't pick up on that, and that is a good area. But there's going to be a number of people over there, so this one's also
okay
where it comes up from the deep water.
Yeah.
It goes into that back bay. These fish are going into that back bay from someplace.
There is an incline there too. You're right. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
So I want to look at some deep water breaks and break lines down along that shoreline, and there may not be nothing there. There's something that's leading them up there. The job I have to do is to see if I can see what's leading them there.
Okay. Well, let's get going doing
Let's
it.
do it.
You're looking for
I'm at 28 feet of water, and I'm sitting about three boat lengths off this
channel
pier.
Okay, and you figure that the fish, if they use the channel, their home area is out in
It's out here.
in the Muskegon Lake.
Yeah, it's out here. Now, all I'm doing is I went in and out looking for that brake line.
Yeah.
I want to see what kind of brake lines I got before I start weaving in and out and start doing a little fishing.
Fishing. Okay.
I just run parallel. I just want to move inside the channel. We'll go across the channel.
Okay.
Again.
So the channel depth is deeper than what it says.
It's 24 and then baseline right there.
Oh yeah. So the map says it's shallower than it really is.
Yeah.
Now you're looking for like a particular brake line?
Well, yeah, I already saw the brake line. This is the brake line at the bottom. That's the one at the top. But there's not nothing in between it to really draw the fish up. It's pretty straight down.
Straight down. Okay.
We can fish right along in here. If there's any fish, they'll be there.
What depth is that?
Now that's going to be right about 30 feet.
30 feet. That's the base of the rocks?
It's 34 now. It's already starting to go down, yeah.
Okay, the base of those rocks then. You're going to go down deep?
Yeah.
Mainly because there's fishermen on the
basically because I don't want to disturb them.
Okay. Now how deep would you go to the base of that brake line at 32?
Yeah, it's at 30, if it's at 30 feet, 34 was the flat where it flattened out.
Yeah.
I want to stay just above the flat.
Okay.
So and I just want to walk one lure into the wall.
Okay.
That will, you know, you're right over the brake line. Both lures will be swimming free, and if you keep one just skimming every once in a while, then you're along that bottom brake.
The bottom brake. Okay. Let's go at it.
All right. Let's get some wire line. What are we going to use? We're going to use wire line. What size? He says 700. I says no. I'm going to use smaller than that because walleyes under the conditions, we know it's tough. We know we don't have movements going on. Walleyes have a tendency to take smaller lures. So I try to use the smallest lure I can and drive it the deepest. We know 100, we double the depth is 15 feet. You can go double the depth plus 10 feet with 100.
But you got to put quite a bit of wire out?
Yeah, so? But the wire's going to take it down.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay? You're using the wire line to take your lure down. Yeah, you could use a 700 and short line it, but we're not under real active conditions. I don't expect to see active fish. I expect to see inactive fish.
So the smaller lure and the longer lines are better for less active fish.
Will help you turn a fish.
Okay, sounds good. Okay.
Just keep that in your thinking. Now we know we're under dark conditions, so you want to pick a dark lure. As a matter of fact, if I could, and maybe we should take a 200. That's 12, 24. That's 34 feet. Double the length and add 10 feet.
Ah, okay.
I know I can get a 200 down. I may have to play with my line length.
Yeah.
The one thing with wire, you know, we don't want to run extra long line so that it's laying on the bottom.
Right.
So yeah, I want to be out over the flat when I adjust my line length. Once I adjust my line length, that's going to stay the same. Then I can run this all day and let out, 18 lays and be right on it, or 18 and a half lays and be right on it. It's that first trial run.
Okay.
That's tough. You got to play with it. You got to keep it in your mind how many you let out and how much you take back in, and you got to try and stay over the flat so that you get that lure to run just off the flat. And we ain't talking much.
Yeah, just a small distance.
Hey, once in a while, a little this much, that much. I don't, but we're close to the bottom. Granted, it's not walking, but that inside lure will be walking. It'll be walking, and because we're running a straight brake line, it's pretty simple to run.
Okay.
All right, let's go back out to the beginning of the channel and we'll give it a try.
Okay. Good. What size wire do you run?
I run 20.
20?
I don't know if that's wise or not.
It's a little heavier.
It's heavier. I've always felt that wire line, I want the heaviest wire line to get me down deeper, but now there's an adage or a thought that says you should use the thinner wire line because you can get more depth, you get less line resistance.
Yeah.
But the idea of wire is that the weight of the wire brings you down.
Takes it down.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not you know, the final decision's not in on it. I know one thing. I'm fishing for big fish. And 20-pound test line, big fish line.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how many break-offs you've had with wire. How many have your wire actually broke on you?
Not with fish on them, but I broke it a lot.
Have you broke?
I've broken it just because I've stressed it. Yeah, I neglected it.
Neglected to address the cakes, which is real important. This wire line is 8 years old. I've never changed it. And you can see how much line I got on the reel. I have not lost a lot. I think I have lost, I know I lost it once because I broke the handle. I got a hang and I tried to break it free. But with 20-pound test line, it gets tougher to come free.
Yeah.
And when you're fishing 30 feet down, you got yourself a problem.
So you figure the 20-pound line helps it last longer for you.
Helps me to last a little longer, and I feel that I'm looking for big fish, and if I get that big fish on, I don't want them breaking the damn, wire.
Well, now you got fairly long rod there. That's about a 5.5 foot, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't care what. With wire, everything's transmitted to me.
Yeah.
If you look at my other trolling rods, they're all Muskegon Spoonplug rods. And some of the guys have gone to graphite, and they're probably, you know, they probably get more feeling out of it. With wire, I know wire's giving me every bit of feeling I can have. The only reason I got a little longer rod here is because I bought this in a garage sale.
Oh, well,
$3.
that's a good reason.
Put new eyes on it.
Yeah.
And I fish with it all the time. As a matter of fact, the garage sale was at Tony Portacasso's house. And he used to cast with this rod. It wasn't any good for me.
Now you're using it. All right.
I've been using it for 8 years.
Let's go get it.
$3 I ever spent.
Yeah, why not? Okay. How many layers you putting out? Start.
18.
18, okay.
Should be about 18. We're over about 33 foot of water.
Are you just going out or coming in until you can see some of the rocks?
Yeah, I'm watching the depth. I'm watching it, and I'm trying to anticipate the incline, where it starts to come up.
Okay.
Just slightly. But I'm watching the boat too, and I'm watching the structure. I'm trying to keep an eye out in front. I don't want to make rapid adjustments.
Changes. Okay.
I make slight changes and just kind of keep a bearing. Try to make a feel for it. You never know along some of these straight channels when you'll see a short, very short little hump, little bar, little feature. And every time, they'll be there. Man-made structures, Mr. Murray's always told us, one of the best places to go look. This is man-made. This channel is man-made. And that rock and rubble, it's probably a little bigger than the experts would say, you know, for smallmouth, but it could be smallmouth, it could be walleyes, it could be a muskie cruising up and down here. It's got good depth though. I like 34 feet. Got current.
Yeah, that's true.
We got current coming in and out of here.
Now you're going pretty fast, aren't you?
Yeah, I probably am. I do it by feel. And I feel my vibration of my lure.
Okay.
And occasionally I look down, and right now this thing's registered at 8 miles an hour. But I know I got current coming in.
Yeah, that's true. We're going with the current now.
I'm going against it.
You're going...
Am I going with it?
You're going with it.
The current.
Yeah. I'm bouncing real good now.
Yeah, you're bouncing real good because I took my eyes off the depth finder. And we got up to 21 feet. You'll concentrate on your...
On what you're doing.
On what you're doing.
So you say if somebody wants to really learn spoon plugging...
You really want to learn spoon plugging, and you've been at it for a long time, chances are what you're doing is you're trying to catch fish and put spoon plugging aside. You're still looking for a shortcut. Just go out in the boat with a trolling rod, no boat trolling line, and a handful of spoon plugs. And don't carry nothing else. Don't carry a jig rod, don't carry a casting rod. Just go out there with spoon plugs and troll.
Use them.
And troll and figure out your structures and troll. You'll catch fish. When the activity period comes, you'll know it. And when there ain't no activity period, you'll know that too, because you won't catch them. But you'll be forced to sit there with a trolling rod in your hand and troll. And you'll eventually get to learn that this is what I'm looking for. This is the feature of that bottom that I'm looking for that's different. And you'll stay with it all day long. Like I said, I'm one bar all day long waiting for the fish to move. And when they moved, I was there. And when they were gone, I was fishless again. And come in and thought, I should have caught more fish. You know?
Yeah.
Gee, the weather conditions were better. It was perfect. Hey, fish, wake up. You're supposed to move now. And they did move, but it wasn't as my expectations.
Yeah, right.
But when I came in, and I had, you know, the 4 or 5 walleyes that I kept, you get selective. You know, you don't want to keep all your walleyes because you know you can catch better. And you never want to fill out because you're looking for that really big one. And at times, you know, you start throwing back 4, 5, 6 pound walleyes because you know they're going to move better. And they don't. But it's okay because you've been catching fish all day. You come in and tell somebody, they don't believe you.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I don't tell them. But yeah, I remember the day I come in with, and Richard and I had been out all day long. And it was one of the few trips where the weather conditions were stabilized. And we should have caught a lot of fish. I mean, I expected the movement to be pretty good. Longer duration, bigger fish. Lake Wisconsin's a good lake. And we caught fish. We caught white bass, we caught sauger, we caught walleyes. We had a big fish on, but we didn't get anything of real great size in. We didn't hit a long time while they were up. We worked hard for the fish that we had. We had some fish. We'd had better fish on what I thought were worse weather conditions. We'd had better fishing for the amount we had. But when we came in, we drew a crowd. And I wanted to leave. It was late and I was tired and it was a long day. And Richard's yakking and talking, and one of them, he had 4 or 5 on his side, and one of them started looking at me. And in those days I had sported a beard. And he says, those are pretty good fish. And I looked at him and says, yeah, they're okay. He says, are you a guide on this lake? He says, no, man. We were in Wisconsin. Wisconsin calls Illinois people flatlanders. And I said, I'm just a flatlander like you up here on a little issue. And he laughed. But he was impressed, and we drew this crowd. They were not catching fish. And it taught me one little lesson. When you're out here, you have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Sometimes success is a very, very relative thing. Yes, you're out here and you're not catching the fish that you expect to catch. You're not catching as big a fish as the other spoonplugger is over there. That's okay. Success is relative to the conditions you face. Maybe you weren't on the right structure at the right time. You were on a marginal structure. Maybe the biggest fish weren't on the right structure. You were. Maybe the big fish weren't using that structure.
Yeah, that is.
The other guy, though, is telling you that that other structure is where they were at. You have to interpret that at the end of the day. You have to go back over that fishing trip every minute of it.
Do you always do that? Go back over what I did on the water?
I do it in my studies, in my book, in my book, in Mr. Perry's green book.
Right.
I read it every time I get off the water. Then my book is beat up.
You see, you compare what you did.
I go over the conditions that I found while I was on the trip, and when I read it in a book, I recognize those conditions.
Okay.
And then I find out in my mind from the book, either I did something right, or I did it wrong, or I could have done this.
Better, yeah. Okay.
Not necessarily that I did right or I did wrong, but I could have done this. And that's where you grow.
Yeah.
The next time I run across that condition, I'll never forget it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's permanent knowledge. I'll never forget it. Those details get stuck in my mind, like that little story I just told you. I'll never forget that. I was really disappointed about my fishing, but these small group, 6, 7 guys, it wasn't that many, but they gathered around and they didn't waste no time, and they weren't shy about asking how, where, we caught them. And you guys were out there today? Yeah, you just saw us come in. They hadn't caught any fish. And you suddenly realize that my day's fishing really was pretty successful to those guys.
Compared to them. Yeah. Okay.
Okay?